When we come back on News Track, we'll give you details about the update on the Ebola virus as it concerns Nigeria.
And we'll take a look at the pricing of kerosene and the difficulties of accessing it.
Please stay with us.
World, there could be an even greater threat of extreme weather than previously thought. Every Friday, Channels takes you on a journey to see the effect of human activities on our changing planet. It's a fact that we've been talking the talk. Learn how to take the step on Earth 5 at this time on Channels Television.
Welcome back. All our top stories can be found on our website. It's channelstv.com and on youtube.com/channelsweb. Visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores.
We also encourage you to interact with the Channels Eyewitness feature on our Android, iOS and Windows 8 platforms. If you have pictures or videos to share with us, tap the application on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu and follow the instructions. Well, the Ebola containment situation may be looking up for the nation as a female passenger who came into the country yesterday has been cleared of the virus. She was picked up at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos and driven to the isolation center. Border control measures have gone a notch higher to avoid more victims like the late Patrick Sawyer coming into the country. Our correspondent Mary Alale Yusuf has more.
Justina Ejelonu was one of the nurses who attended Patrick Sawyer, the Liberian-American, an index case of the Ebola virus disease in the country. Pregnant Justina died of the infection, but not before coming in contact with her fiancé, 32-year-old Dennis Akaga, a banking graduate who came down with the disease.
I'm a miracle, a testimony of someone who got healed from Ebola. You know, people were there before me. I don't know if you understand. People were there before me. People stayed there for like 3 weeks. People stayed there for like 1 month. But I went in there and I came out just 5 days.
Some of Dennis's friends no longer visit. A local petty trader won't sell him a toothbrush, and his barber has lost some clients. He had just got a job, but when his boss found out about his fiancée, he placed a call to Dennis.
He went to Justina's Facebook wall and checked her profile, checked her pictures, and saw my pictures there. I was like, I know this guy, this is Dennis. So he forwarded me, he said, do you know this person? Justina, I said, yeah, she's my wife. He said, okay, no problem, fine. So after then, he stopped picking my calls.
The Lagos State Governor, while hosting a team from the World Health Organization, gave assurances that the state is doing its best to contain EVD.
Because we think that the question whether a school should open on a particular day at this time is not a matter that any date should be cast in stone. It must be informed by scientific basis and risk evaluation. Given what we've experienced, we do not want a reinfection. And so the disposition to complacency is that there will be no room at all for complacency.
Also in Lagos, the senior advocate of Nigeria, Olisa Agbakoba, gives credit to the federal government and Lagos for being on top of the Ebola situation, but adds that healthcare must become better and more inclusive.
This ought to be a wake-up call. This ought to be a wake-up call that we need to introduce a very strong national healthcare system in the mold of what Obama did. If I call it Jonathan Care, I don't care whether he takes that glory, but we need something on ground which makes Nigeria's health delivery system world class.
The Vice-Chancellor of the Obafemi Awolowo University, Professor Bamitale Omole, has revealed the status of a female student of the institution reported to have had secondary contact with an Ebola sufferer. Speaking to newsmen in Ile-Ife, Osun State, he made it clear that her test came out negative from the Ebola Isolation Center in Lagos.
The results of the preliminary and confirmatory tests proved negative. This university has never and will never stigmatize anyone with Ebola virus disease.
The Rivers State Commissioner for Health warns that although Nigeria is recording success in the battle with Ebola, she must not rest until Liberia is also free.
No matter the successes we celebrate here, it is not yet over until the Liberia situation is over.
He reveals that an 18-month-old child who was brought in for observation is negative for Ebola disease in the first test. Indeed, things seem to be looking up with no active case of EVD, and while Nigerians can heave a sigh of relief, there remain some contacts under surveillance, and of course, our neighboring countries. Mary Alale Yusuf, Channels Television News.
Kerosene remains the most popular fuel for domestic cooking in Nigeria. The government pays millions of naira in subsidies daily to help the average Nigerian buy the product for as low as 50 naira per litre. However, the ordinary citizens hardly get the product at any official retail price, making life difficult. In this special report, our correspondent Seun investigates the pricing of the product and the difficulties of accessing it in spite of the subsidy payment.
Nigeria has over 30 million households. 90% of these, they say, cook at least once every day with fuels like kerosene. Nigeria holds the world's 7th largest gas reserves and is among the world's top oil-producing countries. Despite these, millions of Nigerians are unable to afford electricity or gas, and a greater chunk of the number are stuck with kerosene as fuel. The federal government pays subsidies on kerosene and so requires marketers to sell kerosene at below market rates. It then pays the marketers the difference between the market price and the government-approved retail price of 50 naira.
You don't sell? Why not?
The NNPC is the sole importer of the fuel, but even at its own retail filling stations, one can hardly find the product to buy, let alone getting it at a retail price. Move around any major town and you will find the price of kerosene boldly written at filling stations as 50 naira. But the reality is that it's hardly sold at that price. In fact, in some places, it's sold 3 times more. When we visited some filling stations, starting with a federal government-owned NNPC station, our discovery was shocking.
Kerosene I won't buy, man. And I don't get. Why now? When can we get?
People coming here, I can't see.
From there to yet another one, but again, it is a sorry tale.
Is it not an NNPC filling station? Huh?
You don't use the set
I thought you are the ones that will even have kerosene.
We then moved to a private filling station. This time the product is available, but the retail price of 50 naira boldly written here is just a deceit.
Unfortunately, we are not part of the regulatory, we are not part of the security enforcement. We can do the best we can within our own sphere of influence and control.
Most people have lost hope in the filling stations and moving to some interior parts of the city. These roadside retailers are commonplace. Wahab Adowoshaye is one of such retailers. He's been in the business for many years. He tells us about his experience with kerosene market.
As at last market that I bought last week, we bought it 130 naira per litre.
And you sell at how much do you sell?
And for me, I sell it for OCs. For OCs, I sell 135. But for retail, I sell 140. But when you are asked the federal government or the people in the surrounding of the kerosene, they will say that because of the price of the diesel, because they used to use kerosene to dilute diesel. So that's why the price is higher.
The reality is that what you have is what we call DPK, dual purpose kerosene. Dual-purpose kerosene serves one as aviation fuel and two as cooking kerosene. The reality is that if you take, you have to color it differently. If you take dual-purpose kerosene, you can actually sell it as aviation fuel. Aviation fuel is going based on Platts at about 190 naira a liter.